Messmer the Impaler is a cruel and bloodthirsty warlord known for burning his enemies alive and impaling them. But Marika was terrified of him long before she sent him on a crusade against the Hornsent. She's so scared that she sent him away to the Shadowlands and abandoned him. But why? The answer is, there's something about him that exposes something very dark about her. To figure out what it is, we need to ask ourselves, what does the game want us to know about Messmer? And there are two main things they want us to associate him with: his flame and his snakes. He has 2 winged serpents attached to his body, and when we first meet him, it immediately cuts to one of the serpents. Now, a serpent symbolically can signify seduction and betrayal. But these 2 winged serpents are not what Marika is afraid of. In fact, they are actually hiding it and keeping it at bay. Marika actually plucked her son's eye out and put her seal in place to hide something else: the Abyssal Serpent. The Abyssal Serpent comes out in phase 2 of his boss fight, after he removes Marika's seal from his eye, and it looks like Messmer turns into the serpent. His title also goes from Messmer the Impaler to Base Serpent Messmer. It could be called that because it is the foundation of his being. The Old English version of the word base refers to something that is low on the social or moral scale, or unworthy. Therefore, Messmer's very being was unworthy by the Golden Order standards, and Marika wanted to hide that. But there is a third layer in Messmer's character, his flame. The Abyssal Serpent actually ate at the flame within. Let's analyze the flame and see if there is something about it that would make Marika want to abandon Messmer. We learned from Messmer's orb that he hated the flame and tried multiple ways to rid himself of it, but ever did it burn, which is odd because it became a symbol of the crusade. And this is something that he also repeats to us.
Those stripped of the grace of gold shall all meet death. In the embrace of Messmer's flame.
But more on that in a second. Something else about his orb. This spell is a fireball that floats to the enemy and explodes. This has a striking similarity to another spell, the Flame of the Fell God. It is from the Giants, and it is also a fireball that floats to the enemies and explodes. Back to Messmer, why did he hate his flame? I think because Marika hated it because she couldn't control it. We learn from his kindling that it is able to burn the sealing tree in the Shadowlands. And I don't think it's a coincidence that Messmer's kindling says, just like his sister, he bore a vision of fire. It's very reminiscent of the Forge of the Giants in the Forbidden Lands. The Giants, who are also known for having bright red hair, maintained an ever-burning forge. When Marika conquered the lands between, her and Radagon slaughtered the giants that were inhabiting the land, but the Giants' forge could not be put out. So Marika enslaved the last surviving giant to watch over the forge forever. And we use the Forge of the Giants in either the Frenzy Flame or Melina as kindling to finally burn down the Erd Tree. Is Messmer's flame also strong enough to burn down the Erd Tree? I think that is something Marika wondered. His flame is too similar to the Giants' flame. The giants that she had to wipe out to put out their forge. But she couldn't even put out the forge anyway. And she couldn't put out Messmer's flame either. It was a threat to her. And she knew its true origins. Messmer was cursed by the fell god of the fire giants. All of Marika's children except for Godwyn were all born cursed. And it doesn't matter if the curses came from an outer god or not. What is important is that the curses are caused by things she has done. Melania was cursed with scarlet rot and Mikola was cursed with eternal youth. And I attribute that to her removing the rune of death from the Elden Ring and disrupting the balance of life and death in the lands between. Morgott and Mohg were born cursed as omens with horns because of the genocide of the Hornsent. While Radagon is not her child, he is a part of her being, and he was cursed with red hair because he partook in the genocide of the giants. Melina, like Messmer, bore a vision of fire and was used as kindling to burn down the Erd tree, and that is because of the giants as well. And it does seem that Marika wanted to hide her history with the giants, since they are in the Forbidden Lands. Since Messmer had the power to burn down the Erd tree and was a threat to her rule, this could be why she abandoned him. But it still doesn't quite explain it, does it? For one, she hasn't banished him to the Forbidden Lands and hid that area entirely like she did with the Shadowlands. There's something else about his character. We also learn that he was able to galvanize the people around him. He considered his Fire Knights his brothers, and General Radahn looked up to him. Even R'hllana, the Twin Moon Knight, gave up her Carrion birthright to follow Messmer into his crusade. This contrasts with Miquella, who magically compels people and manipulates them to get respect, while Messmer actually earns it and people actually choose to be around him. But Marika decided to use Messmer's power and his ability to bring people together to her advantage by sending him on a crusade where he could point his flame at people she wanted to get rid of, therefore making something she couldn't control into something she could. And why does he repeat the phrase, "in the embrace of Messmer's flame"? Why is he referring to himself in the third person? Because that is exactly what Marika was saying to people to get them on board. And he repeats her phrase word for word, because that is how devoted he is to her. But it still doesn't reveal the whole story. Why did Marika come up with this elaborate scheme of the crusade to then just abandon Messmer in the realm of shadow? If she was going to banish him, why not banish him to the Forbidden Lands? We also figured out that he is cursed by the fell god of the giants. But what is it about the Shadowlands and Messmer in particular that she needed to hide? Messmer's remembrance gives us a hint. A malevolent snake writhed within Messmer, and so his very mother plucked out his eye and put in its place a seal of grace. Yet having done so, her fear compelled her to secrete away her child within the realm of shadow, hidden away, keeping company with the original sin and a hatred that would not be confined. This means that Messmer's snake reminded Marika of some original sin that happened in the land of shadow. She tried to hide it with her own seal of grace, but it wasn't enough for her. She had to hide him completely. We know that Marika was a shaman who had her entire village tortured and killed by the horn scent. I won't go into the details because I'm sure you have all heard them by now. I'm not certain of the timeline, but Marika seems to be the sole survivor of her shaman village. It then seems she gained influence in Hornsent society as well at some point. And the Shadow of the Erdtree trailer shows us a pivotal moment in history at the Gate of Divinity, which is made of fresh corpses. We see Marika with golden jewelry, which indicates some level of wealth, walking on bloody and fleshy ground. She then takes golden threads out of some flesh, walks upstairs, and holds up her rune arc. While at the same time in the trailer, Lita is telling us about her seduction and betrayal and an affair where gold was born. Did she seduce the Hornsent and then betray them? Is that what is happening in this scene? My interpretation of the scene is that Marika killed all these people, assembled the gate out of their bodies, stole their threads of life, and used all of the power to become a god. And this is her original sin that she wants to hide from the world forever. Her godhood is built on bloodshed. It was doomed to be defined by cruelty and violence from the start. And Messmer isn't just cursed with the fire from the genocide of the giants. He is also cursed with the abyssal serpent from Marika's original sin. He is her only child that has two curses. There's no outer god that Marika can even blame for the curse of the abyssal serpent, like with Melania and the Scarlet Rot. The only god responsible is Marika herself, and this is why Marika abandoned him in the land of shadow, hidden away as to remove him from history because she didn't want to face it. And remember, the abyssal serpent is actually eating the flame within. One of his curses is literally eating another curse. Messmer becomes the snake eating itself, otherwise known as the Ouroboros. The Ouroboros can symbolize life, death, or the eternal cycle of destruction and rebirth. And we can see something that looks like the Ouroboros symbol on the promo material for the DLC. To me, this symbolizes Marika's reign and how Miquella is destined to make some similar mistakes and ultimately fail. Marika's reign started out by bloodshed and continued. She ascended to godhood with mass murder, went to war with the giants, the dragons, the Carians, and eventually, after how many years, sent Messmer to purge the horn scent. She could never escape the cycle of destruction. Thanks so much for watching my video, and thanks so much for all of the comments and feedback you guys have been leaving on my videos. If there is a certain topic you want me to cover, let me know in the comments below, and please leave a like and subscribe. It'll really help out my channel a lot. Thanks so much.